good.
Yeah, just keep it kind of close to your face. It'll pick up on it. It's pretty good at picking up on it, but cool. Thanks for your time, man. Appreciate you being here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tommy Espenschied, everybody. Fellow real estate.
Yeah.
Real estater. So you're a realtor.
Yep.
Tommy Espenschied. What's the group? It's something in Espenschied, isn't it?
Yeah, Espenschied Herman Group.
Espenschied Herman Group. And where's that? Are you guys your own brokerage?
No, we're it's 5 of us at Berkshire Hathaway, Alliance,
gotcha.
and Clayton.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is that where your office is in Clayton?
Yeah.
Nice. And how long have you been in this for?
Coming up on 5 years.
Really?
Yeah.
Why did you get into residential real estate?
Where
did that come from for you?
Well, my mom has been in it my whole
really?
life, yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I actually work with her.
I bet that's fun.
It's interesting.
Yeah, sure.
It's fun, and we only overlap a little bit.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, we work together on a lot of stuff, but in terms of like day to day, we do a pretty good job of communicating on what we need to, when we need to, and not, because you spend a lot of time together as a family.
Yeah.
And so it's good to get some space every once in a while too.
So has she always been a realtor?
Yeah. So I think she's coming up on like 40 years.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Always with Berkshire?
No, she was with Coldwell Banker, Prudential, and now Berkshire, because I think Prudential was bought out by Berkshire.
That feels right.
Yeah. So she was with, CBG, like Gundaker. And I used to go like put signs in the yard as a kid and bake cookies at the open houses. So it was always kind of fun. And I was involved, but I had kind of gotten into some sales stuff out of college. And I was I actually was a fashion major.
Were you really?
Textiles,
like
marketing, and merchandising.
No way.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
And with I was finance when I was at Dayton, and so I carried some of those credits.
That's right. You did go to Dayton.
Yeah.
For first 2 years?
Yes, 2 years. Very good time. A little too good.
Yeah, that happens. That's fair.
Yeah, and then, but I was doing this sales job, and I was just thinking about, it was a lot of appointment setting. And
what was it?
It was cold calling, setting appointments, alliance marketing.
Okay, yeah.
So that kind of thing, and I was like, well, I'm okay at this, but I'd rather actually do the sale, not just set the appointment.
Yeah,
and then I was like, what's the biggest thing you can sell? I was like, it's real estate. So, and it seemed like an industry that had very high ceilings. My mom was already in it, so I kind of talked to her, and then it was middle of COVID, so I signed up for the course. I signed up and completed my course in about 3 weeks.
Same.
And got my license
the state
in 3 weeks
national
or 3.5 weeks or so.
I did mine in I think everything took me a month. I failed I took them both tests at the same time.
Yeah.
I think I failed the state one, but I retook it 3 days later.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I did it immediately. That's funny. I did the exact same thing.
Yeah, it was good. Did you do a Zoom course?
Basically.
Yeah, mine was all Zoom, 10 hours a day, kind of.
Mm-hmm. I was doing. I was actually working for Frit's mom at the time, and so I would work for 4 or 5 hours, and then at the office I would stay in our little conference room and just rip the course there for the next 3 or 4 hours. Yeah. So I think it took me 5 or 6 weeks. That feels right.
Yeah. It was great.
Mm-hmm. Easy, yeah. Then I had to go to a testing center down in South County, and that shit was weird.
Yeah, I did the same thing. It was probably the same spot.
It probably was. In a little strip mall?
Yeah. And then, it was interesting. I don't know if you had the same feeling, but, we were talking about, Dayton and switching schools, and, I was a decent student. Grade school, great student.
Yeah.
High school, pretty good. Kind of tapering off at the end.
Yeah.
College, I was a horrible
dude,
student.
It's like a roller coaster fucking down.
Just a brutal student. And then I took that course. It was the first time in years where I was like, wow, I feel good studying. I'm back on it.
Just like that, dude.
Passed the test. I was like, I was like, what other licenses should I get?
While I'm here.
Yeah, I was like, all right, we'll stick with this for now.
So when was that? Did you get your license in 2020?
Yeah.
And when was that in 2020?
Yeah, 2020. It was October.
I think I was right around there too. I didn't start. I think I started in 21 technically. But I think I got my license. I don't know. I remember doing it like through the holidays, and that was definitely 2020. But I don't think I officially got my license until 2021.
2021.
Yeah,
and you went right into commercial, right?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you about.
Yeah.
Because I was listening to a bunch of your episodes, and it sounds like you have an interest, or at least have an interest in talking to people in commercial.
Yeah.
Do you have that interest, or do you just want to talk to these guys?
No, I definitely have an interest in commercial. I have an interest kind of in like the syndication or fund model. Mm-hmm. I'm interested as an investor, and if I can, I'd love some exposure. Like one of the cool things about being an agent is that you get exposure to deals and how they work.
Yeah.
So it's a nice avenue to the investment side. It's like free education. You're getting paid to learn about the industry. So
I totally agree.
Yeah. So I've got some clients who are into small multifamily, where I've done like deals with them, and then they're also into commercial stuff. So I've been able to pick up a little bit on what they're doing, be in some meetings. So yeah, it's definitely something I'm interested in. Our brokerage doesn't do it now. So at this point, I'm just kind of building my reputation in the real estate space.
Smart.
Yeah.
I totally, because I used to be with Invest St. Louis, and they obviously, Invest St. Louis, only focus on the St. Louis area, and most of our stuff was in the city, like South City.
Yep, I see the signs.
Yep, Central Corridor. Yeah, our office was in Shaw. Like, our office probably 2 minutes from your place in the Grove then.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to get into commercial. I wanted to get into, like, institutional multifamily.
Yeah.
50, 100, 400, 600 unit complexes. But I would have no clue what the fuck I'd be doing if I started out doing those. And like at Invest St. Louis, like I did 2 families, 4 families, single family rentals, that kind of stuff. And even when I first started there, like when my boss, my broker, whatever you want to call him, like when he was first starting me out, he was like, I'm going to get you onto like the 8 families, 12 families, 20 units, 40 units. But for now, like only call these duplexes and fourplexes.
Yeah.
That way, eventually he could hand me things off, but I would like not be totally overwhelmed by like a $4 million deal. He's like, it's the same, because it's the same exact process.
Yeah.
And like, you really need to get your bearings with the contract and how a contract works.
Yeah.
Because it took me, dude, I don't know, 6 months to get comfortable with the contract. And even last year, thanks for all your help. I called you a couple of times with how they switched it up recently.
Yeah.
And like, I'm still not totally with it and everything they adjusted. It took me forever to get comfortable with those contracts. And I would be shitting my britches if someone had me doing institutional stuff with having no experience in just like, I won't say beginner, but just like standard real estate.
Yeah.
It would be a totally different beast.
Yeah. Yeah, the contracts is like my favorite part of the deal.
Really?
Yeah.
I heard you mention that, and I'm getting all the episodes confused now, but how you'll just like randomly read a paragraph or two just to keep with it all.
Yeah, I like to read the contract a lot. Mm-hmm. And I love the best part about the market that we've been in. Like we were, born into just this crazy market, supposedly. It's all we know.
Yeah, literally.
But the cool thing about working the buying and the listing side both is like, I've had the listings where you get 30 offers. Mm-hmm. And the amount of contracts that you have the opportunity to read through.
Yeah. And
where you get to see the one of 30 that wins and the terms that it takes. I always find so interesting.
I bet.
Yeah.
So what is, in any situation like that, what's obviously price, but like, is there anything that usually stands out over one over the other?
You can get real creative on inspections. Another, like, because a lot of people will do like a dollar cost threshold, which is great. Like we're only gonna renegotiate on items above X dollar amount. But if you can find a specific pain point, like the sellers must be terrified that this roof is 17 years old, so they assume that we put the contract in, we're gonna retrade on the roof. So if you can put specific terminology like, we're not going to renegotiate on the roof as it, like little things like that can really stand out. Lease back options have actually been a big success for me.
Huh. Yeah. So walk people through that.
Basically you'll put an offer on a house, closing on X date. So the seller gets the funds, at closing, and then they actually lease the property back from the buyer for, 30, 60 days while they are either pursuing their next house or they just need time to move all their stuff.
Just buys them more time.
Yeah, so they get a little bit of time. And then you want to structure it right. Like you want to make sure that there's money in escrow, there's some deposit so that they're not just, sitting in your house forever.
Right.
Because you might do like a real cheap lease back or free, but you need some skin in the game, something on the line so that they don't take advantage of that free rent.
Is that something that do you have to get like a lawyer involved and have like a lease agreement with that, or is that just like standard straight through the contract?
You can do it through the contract.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, there's been some other stuff that I've done, like seller financing stuff, where you need more of a lawyer.
That gets tricky.
Yeah, that gets a little tricky.
Like payoffs down the road and everything like that.
Yeah. That's another contract term where that was a deal where it was a crazy one, and seller financing helped get it done. It's just there's so many different ways to get a deal done, and you never really know what, either for the seller or the buyer, like what a particular pain point or motivation is. I always find it, so just asking those questions as much as you can to figure out what they are. And, sometimes it's going to be price and you're not going to win it.
Right.
And that's just,
sometimes
it is what it is.
Yeah,
but you like to get the best chance you can.
I mean, because that's kind of what I feel like. I feel like there's a misconception of being a real estate agent, whether it's a buyer's agent or a seller's agent, that it's easy. It's simple, but I wouldn't call it easy.
Yeah.
Because of you're managing like 6 different conversations at a time and like helping everyone come to the best agreement. And typically, I don't think people understand how, because you might, if you're the buyer, you might call me and say something, and I'm like, well, we're definitely not telling them that. And if the seller, same thing, it's like, okay, I'm going to spin these words in the most ridiculous way to make sure it sounds like a positive going to the buyer. And I feel like people it almost gets a bad rep of how, because people's like, oh, I can just become a realtor. I'm like, dude, that was something I actually want to talk to you about is, there's some shitty real estate agents out there.
Horrible.
Because of how we were just talking about how easy it is to get your license.
Yeah.
It's really easy to get your license. Anyone could go and get their license. I'm not kidding you. Yeah.
Entry.
Yeah, the lowest barrier to entry. And I'm not saying I'm a great agent. I'm not saying I'm a shitty agent. But I've definitely worked with some shitty ones, and I've definitely worked with some great ones.
Yeah.
And there's been certain transactions where I'm like, wow, you as in the seller's agent, you carried this entire thing.
Yeah.
And there's other times where I'm like, can this person do anything?
Yeah.
Anything.
It's insane. Yeah, when you have to work basically both sides of the transaction.
And knowing what they're getting out of it, it's like, come on. People.
Yeah.
How do you manage that? How do you, in that kind of a situation, how do you manage that?
I'm just grateful when it's a great agent.
Sure.
When it's a bad agent, it just is what it is. I'm actually, I'm the first couple times, you kind of panic and all that. That's why I do all the, you'll see on my stories, all the shit that I do. I get up super early. I work out all the time. It's just it's stress management. And then
that's a great way of putting it.
Not stressed.
Yeah.
I just keep my composure. And I think that's the biggest thing is the ability to take the emotion out of the deal. you don't want to be a contributor to the emotion.
Yeah.
You want to be kind of like the...
When the inspection doesn't go well, you start freaking out too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, bring logic to the deal. Because sometimes if the inspection goes wrong too, like recently we had one that wasn't going great. I was like, let's just cut it. We actually cut inspections off early so I could save them some money.
Really?
Because I knew what they wanted. And that's another thing where you have to subtract the emotion. It's like, you're used to getting these $0 months.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I need this commission. I need it, and it's like, it's fine.
Right.
You guys are going to get a house in the next 6 months. Like,
right.
It doesn't need to be today. I know. I see the look on your face, and you're right. This is, let's save you $500 on this inspection and just tell everybody to go home.
Yeah.
Now,
Save everybody some grace.
Yeah,
because then they're just getting a house, get a house, and you're getting a paycheck, get a paycheck.
Yeah, and
they're not getting one they love.
Yeah, and that I would not be able to sleep if that were the case.
I totally agree.
Yeah,
I had similar feelings to, last summer I helped my mom. She moved back here, and I helped her get a house. And she looked at some, and I had to, one, play the business side, but also, two, play her son's side.
Yeah.
And I was like, this isn't the one.
Yeah.
She's like, I need to get a house. I'm like, well, find one. This isn't the one.
Yeah.
And she eventually found one. The one she has now is amazing. It's awesome. She loves it. I'm glad she got it. But I was like, I could totally, it'd be easy just Mom, get that one. It's great. I love it.
Yeah,
exactly. Let's get this over with.
Yeah.
Which I'm glad I didn't do that. Obviously, I would never do that. But it's easy to pitch people in that direction.
And a ton of agents are like to your point, the bad agent, there's a lot of agents that are going to be extra pushy. Mm-hmm. And I think I'm sure that leaves a bad taste in people's mouth.
And I don't know. I don't know how it would ever happen. And I'm sure that's why there's been all these new regulations and shit with the commissions and all that I was giving you calls about last year.
Yeah.
Because it's probably super easy to be really sleazy and super shady with being an agent on some of the deals, because there's almost no regulation on, someone can call and report you and stuff, but once you're in the deal, you're just kind of in the deal.
Yeah, especially the old way it was done.
Mm-hmm.
I
exactly,
was so pumped about the new way, because you actually have to propose your value as a buyer's agent. In the past, it was hey, you don't have to pay me, I'll represent you, and it's well, you don't realize you're paying them, but you're paying them and X, Y, and Z on these terrible terms you're getting on
dude.
this,
And it adds up.
Yeah, I'm okay, yeah, you didn't pay them.
Whatever you want to do. That's good.
Yeah.
So from your eyes, what do you think it takes to be a good agent or a successful agent?
I think knowledge is a big thing. Just understanding the deal. I spent my whole first year, I wasn't cold calling really my whole first year. I was doing some of that, but a lot, I was in the office nonstop, just reading and learning, asking questions. One of the best things about Berkshire Hathaway is they know their stuff. They answer your questions and they really want to help.
Just a wealth of resources.
Yeah, and even the other teams in the office, some of the more experienced agents, obviously being with my mom was super beneficial, because you don't need to sound stupid asking a question. You're not worried about that. But it's also nice when you ask your mom a question that you're worried you might sound stupid asking, and she doesn't know the answer either. And then you've got more people that you can, and then you build confidence too, because you're oh, there's a lot of questions that are to be discussed, I guess. There's not necessarily always a black and white answer for it.
It could be A, B, or C.
Yeah, exactly. So you just...
to be discussed. That's good.
Yeah, and you learn a lot. So I think, being knowledgeable is important. I think... being emotionally regulated is important. And I think having, certain characteristics empathy is a huge characteristic to have. I think if you have empathy, that can help cover a lot of things. And you also just need work ethic and a long time horizon. Like, you need to understand that it takes time. There's going to be times where you make $0. There's going to be times where you maybe make 50 grand in a month.
Right.
And you have to, like, stay very level-headed and not get down when things are bad or not get euphoric when things are good.
The empathy, that's very true.
Yeah.
Because you got to put yourselves in their shoes.
Yeah. And it's emotional.
Especially when it comes to residential real estate, and like you might be helping someone sell their forever home that they raised all 5 kids in.
Yeah.
Or you might be helping someone look to buy their house if they're going to raise their 5 kids in.
Yeah.
And like I haven't been on the sell side of, selling the family home, but I can only imagine, dude.
Yeah.
Because obviously you want the best, what's best for them. And it's like there's a whole sentimental piece.
Yeah, and there's all kinds of things. Like I'll tell you, like my investors, it's a very different discussion. It's all numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Residential, there's different motivations for buying and selling. It could be divorce. It could be death of a parent. It could be a new baby's on the way.
Yep.
So like, and just being aware that, somebody might snap on you or somebody, and just not taking stuff personal, and just and giving people space when they need it, not being pushy, being just being there because you honestly wanting the best for your clients is the most important thing.
Mm-hmm.
And people say, how do you know what's best for them? It's like your conscience will tell you if you're doing it.
Yeah.
You'll know. You'll feel it.
Mm-hmm.
As long as your intentions are pure.
Yeah,
that's the key.
As long as you try to be a good person, I think you'll be fine.
Yeah.
That was something I totally agree with you. Still what I do, but at Invest St. Louis, it was almost all strictly multifamily.
Yeah.
Duplexes, fourplexes was the main of it, and then we'd sprinkle in some big things. But they, like the buyers, the investors, they didn't really give a shit who lived in the place. It was all just $1,100, $1,400, $1,800 a month, and like that's all they saw it as. And when it came down to it, there's almost like, I don't want to say no emotion, but sometimes there's like no emotion behind it. It was all numbers to them, which sometimes made things really easy.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, well, I can get $25 more a month here. And it's like, okay, if you think that $25, if you think that makes it worth it, sure, go for it. $400 here, whatever.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that is very interesting.
I don't know. Do you think you'd ever switch to commercial as being a commercial broker?
I think I would do both.
Because some people, like, I agree with you. I like the JV side, and I like the investing side. I think I'm all in on the fund kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I'd want to stay a broker forever. You know? Some people don't care for that side, and vice versa. Some people love being a broker and don't really give a shit about the whole management and day-to-day investing side of it.
Yeah. At this point, I don't know. I love residential, and I love I work with so many different types of clients.
Yeah, but
it's hard to even pick which kind of like box of client I like working with the best, because like I work with some really high end like luxury buyers doing these crazy like transactions, and so just touring those houses and listening to the way that this person is thinking about the transaction is very interesting, and it's kind of like it's cool because it's like it's beyond my affordability.
Right.
So you're like looking like, whoa, this is
yeah.
I could be here one day.
Yeah. Like, so this is cool, is it? Like, it's fucking sick.
Yeah. And then like from the first time home buyer standpoint too, it's like for, somebody who's just like us, who's buying their first home, it's such a fun process.
Yeah, totally.
Sometimes I'm working with these clients for 2 years.
Holy shit.
It's like they become like family, and then it's like hard because then you close the transaction, you don't really see
never
them.
see them again. Yeah,
things get real hot and heavy, and then all of a sudden you don't see them.
You have the drawers on the floor and everything.
Yeah, exactly.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I'm 2 years. That's crazy. I had some clients that I worked with for like 8 or 9 months. Yeah, because you tour, let alone how many things you tour. 10, a house a week.
Yeah.
A couple houses a month, whatever. You end up you spend 20, 30, 40 hours with these people.
Yeah.
And you end up talking to them more than you talk to your own friends.
Right.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it is.
There's one that is, sweetest couple. They're looking to buy their first investment property. They're gonna house hack.
Nice.
They're looking to buy a duplex in the city. They're moving over from Illinois. And dude, oh my God, this was in 2021 and 2022 probably, when shit was crazy.
Yeah.
Like, we were offered 27 out of 42.
Yeah.
Like, it was just insane. Nothing was going our way. I couldn't tell you how many places we looked at. And at one point, they just brought me a plant. They're like, we're at the farmer's market. We're thinking of you. This is for you. And I was like, that's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
And I never was able to end up getting them anything.
Yeah.
We put in so many offers, and it'd be like, I don't know, it was a duplex down in like off Grand or something.
Yeah.
It was offered. It was like, they wanted 270.
Yeah.
And we went at 285, and they went for like 330.
Yeah.
It was just like, there's just never anything we could do about it. It felt really bad, but it was all I could do. It's all you can do sometimes.
Yeah, and that's the thing and they feel bad too, and it's nice. Like, that's the right attitude, I think, to have, is like, you feel bad.
Mm-hmm.
There's some agents who are like, they wasted my time.
Yeah, it's
and
like,
I'm like,
dude,
come
no,
on, man.
this is your job.
This is your job. And it's so funny. Like, you go through clients like that. Like, I've had some where I've worked with them for over a year and never end up getting anything. And there's some clients like There's some clients who I'm like, I don't think they even had intentions of buying. They just wanted to hang out with me.
They just wanted to bother me all day.
And but then
that's funny.
And then you'll get a client that's like, they call you, and within a month, it's like they're closed.
Yeah,
it all comes back around.
That's what, when we bought we're first time homeowners, and I totally agree. That was it was really cool too. We looked at, I don't know. Well, I looked at probably 20, 25 houses.
Yeah.
And named the area everywhere, looked there. This is actually the first and only house we offered on, which was crazy.
Yeah.
But let alone being able to see all the houses, you gain when it's your house, when it's going to be your house, after 4 houses, you know exactly what you're looking for. Yeah. Like, immediately you can cross off like half the houses out there because you know it's not going to be for you.
Yeah.
And then, like, I'm not an interior design guy.
Yeah.
I got no eye. If it was up, dude, it would be bachelor pad, like a basketball hoop in the living room and shit like that.
Yeah.
But then you gain an appreciation for, like, you walk in your house, like, damn, they did really good a job in here. Or like when something's staged, like, damn, this looks really good.
Yeah.
And like you gain an appreciation, get like new ideas for yourself and what you can do with it, which I never would have thought about ever.
Yeah.
Because you looked at, I don't know, you'll probably see, everyone looks at Zillow listings. You look at 100 houses a day, but you never actually go and see them.
Yeah. I mean, I go see 15 houses a week, probably 20 houses a week.
Good Lord.
It's a lot of houses. So yeah, I definitely have a taste. I know what I like. And it's also nice because, like, to your point, Courtney is very good at decorating, and she's got a vision. So that's where, like, it's one of these things where I'm always looking at like little fixer upper house hacks. Like, I'm like, because Courtney will just make this place
She'll make it
good.
right. Yeah,
it's ugly now, but she can figure it out, and the numbers are good. She's always getting annoyed because I'm showing her these houses where she's like, come on. and like, I'm like, she'll point out one. I'm like, that's like the cheapest flip I've ever seen. And now we have like this joke. She's like, I love cheap flips.
I want to be on HGTV. Yeah. I love cheap flips. That's funny. Yeah. Dude, we looked at some cheap flips, and you know immediately. Yeah. There's like, it's so evident when something, they didn't give a shit about doing it right.
Some do it so good, and some, it's like, the pictures look good, and you get there, and nothing is right.
Awful. It's awful. Like the crown molding and stuff is off by like an inch.
Yeah,
dude, it's like, Jesus. Or like the light switch is at like a 10-degree angle. Yeah. It's like, come on, people. Yep. Yeah. We looked at so many. We're so happy with this house. We love this house.
Yeah, this is an awesome place.
We got it under asking too.
Really?
I don't know how much I should say publicly. Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
What month did you get it in?
We closed March, early April.
Oh, interesting.
Late March feels right.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, that's crazy. We're the only offer.
Really?
Yeah, which that still to this day I don't. Cause it went on the. She was out of town. This went on the market on like whatever Thursday morning.
Yeah.
I went and looked at it. She was out of town.
Yeah.
And I was like, shit, I like this one.
Yeah.
She couldn't look at it, so I texted the agent, hey, here's the situation. I probably won't be able to get the other set of eyes on it until Sunday, maybe Monday.
Yeah.
Can you just let me know if another offer comes in? She's like, yeah, no problem. Showed her mom, showed my dad, showed my mom. Everyone's like, yeah, if I could offer this, I wouldn't even wait for Britt. Waited, and at this point, this is like Sunday.
Yeah.
And I texted her again. I was like, just making sure, like, I want to be competitive. I like to send in an offer if there are none. She's like, there's still none.
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit. And we didn't end up sending one in. It was almost on the market for like a week, and we were still the only offer.
Yeah.
Which was nuts. After everything we've been through, like not personally, like the market's been through, I was like, I can't believe this one.
It's, it's funny, like you said that time, there are little lulls within every part of the market. Mm. Like there's like transitionary periods.
Like right now?
This kind of would be a transitionary period, but January was so dead. Normally, like the first week of January, you get like a small, quick spike.
Really?
And then it settles down because it's like the New Year's. Yeah. People were away from the holidays, so we're already looking. Mm-hmm. House pops up January 2nd. They're ready to go. But St. Louis was covered in ice. So it made it a weird month. And so that it's kind of like pushed things back to like this past weekend. It was nuts.
So what do you see I can't talk. What do you see the transitionary periods typically as?
It's like obviously the winter month, like Thanksgiving and Christmas are known as like being the real slow times, but I guess it would be like in April. I would almost say more of like a June or July. Is like a weird lull. Like everybody says,
really?
The market's really busy in the summer, but like around July 4th, you might see like a few houses where you're like, wait a minute, 2 weeks ago, these would have flown off the shelf. And then they just sit for 7 days, and it gives you a little hope that the market's turning.
Crazy.
And then like 2 weeks later, it's like everything's back to multiple offers. And then again, you'll get it like around when school starts. Mm-hmm. Or people were thinking it was going to be, so it's delayed by like a couple weeks. Yeah, you'll get these little pockets where it's like a handful of houses that should have sold didn't for some reason. And then they get the extra weekend, which is it's always hard to say when it's going to come. But everybody's always scratching their head in the office. They're like, oh, the market, it's back to a buyer's market. And then 2 weeks later, it's like, actually, I just wrote, there were 14 offers on this one.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
I'll always wonder. I don't know. Maybe we caught it like right at spring break or something.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool.
I don't know. Yeah. Thank you. I lost my train of thought. I don't know. I want to go back to how, tell me about this cat and dog that's always on your story.
Oh, yeah, Reggie and Ozzy.
Sure.
So, Ozzy, cat.
Reggie's the cat.
No, Reggie's the dog, Ozzy's the cat. Ozzy's our first pet. And so during COVID, Courtney and I were basically, like, I didn't technically live at her parents' house in Wildwood, but I pretty much moved in for a few months there. Sure. And I would go out on the back deck and just be hanging out. And Ozzy would come up and would look at me. He was a feral cat.
There's just a cat in the neighborhood?
Just a feral cat. He would come up to us with, like, holes in his head. Like, there's coyotes out there. You hear them in the neighborhood, like, howling.
Yeah.
He would come up, like, mauled. Like scratches all over himself.
Shit.
He was just a feral cat, and he would come up and look at me every night. And Courtney's like obsessed with cats. I'm allergic to cats.
Are you really?
Yeah. But
it's funny how that happened.
I kind of broke it. I took Benadryl for like 6 months, and now I'm not allergic.
It's like emotions. Just shove them down there. Just don't bring them up, and you'll be fine.
So he would come up, and then she just started like putting food out there. And then after a few months, she was finally able to like touch him. You could tell he was feral because he did not let people get close to him at all. And then eventually he like came in the house, and
no way.
Yeah, and it was like very slow over like a several month process of
her
like,
parents just cool with this?
Yeah, like growing up, they always had pets, like
That's
birds.
crazy.
They had all kinds of crazy stuff.
I vaguely remember that.
Yeah. And she's like she's like the crazy cat lady, or would be. Luckily she found me. So anyway, yeah, we brought him in, and then she like took him to the vet, got him fixed, which, at the time I was like fighting it. I was like, this isn't right. You shouldn't do this. But now learning about the whole thing, it's good that she did that. So yeah, then he moved to the city with us.
Holy shit.
Yeah, we started off with an air tag on him because you couldn't keep him inside.
I was going to say that.
He knows the outdoors, and she was scared though. She would think he was dead all the time. He would go into these abandoned houses, and I would find him like in the roof of the house. He'd be like looking down at me.
Oh my god.
And he would just go exploring during the day, and then he would come back and
that is crazy.
Yeah, and then eventually we took the air tag off him, so he just kind of runs free, and we let him in and out
just throughout the grove.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
He like runs the show.
That is so funny.
Yeah.
But it's your cat.
Yeah, he's our cat. He sleeps at home every night. He sleeps there all day. Him and Reggie are like good buddies, like you see in the story.
Those stories crack me up every time, dude.
It's great. We actually just got a new cat.
So you cats and a dog?
Showed up at our back door.
No way.
I swear.
Probably brought him home.
It was a real cat. It was somebody's cat, so we hung posters around because it had a collar. It's actually kind of confusing. The owner saw the found cat sign, and
they call you?
Yeah, and hopefully she doesn't see this, but she like called the found cat sign and then came over. Like we had the cat for like 3 weeks, and then she saw it. And then came over to get it. And I was like, hey, yeah, like, if you ever need a cat sitter, just let us know. She was like, actually, I'm moving in a week. So, yeah, she could watch her right now. And I was like, but she didn't really say it. She just said she was moving in a few weeks and then left. I was like, oh, Courtney was still holding the cat. I was like, what just happened? So
no fucking way.
Yeah, so she just drove away.
She's like on the spot. She's like on second thought. I don't want the cat.
Yeah, haven't heard from her since. And I feel bad because cats are like it takes a minute to gain a cat's trust. So it
big time
hid under the bed. Mm-hmm. I could tell the owner felt really bad that she'd let the cat get away and then hadn't seen it for 3 weeks. It was dead of winter when we had this ice storm. So like the cat
this was recent.
Would have passed. Yeah, it would have died
gosh.
if we hadn't brought it in because Petunia is not fit for the outdoors. She is not.
This is fantastic.
Yeah, and so now I guess she's our cat unless that girl comes.
I don't know if she's ever coming back.
That's what it seems like. It's been over a week.
If you still have her number, just occasionally send her pictures of the cat.
Yeah. Well, Courtney has the number, and I think she's a crazy cat lady, so I don't think she minds the idea of keeping the cat.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
That's not what I thought this story was going to be.
Yeah.
I thought it was just going to be a cat in the neighborhood that your dog liked or something.
No, and then Reggie. So we got Reggie. I was actually at the Cardinals game a couple of years ago. I don't know if we've had him for 1 or 2 years. And Courtney and her brother Jake were at the Humane Society, just like going to see dogs, and then
the dangerous game to play.
Yep, of course they come home with a dog, and she calls me. She was like, "Hey, this is Jake's dog, but we're just gonna keep him for a month until Jake moves to his new place." And I was like, "Okay." I was like walking into like patios or something at the time, so I was like, "Okay, that's fine." And then I got home, and he's so adorable. But then by the time like Jake was ready to like take him, I was like, he's our dog. Yeah. Jake was fine with it too. He was like, yeah, like so now Reggie's our dog. We got Ozzy, and I guess we got Petunia. It's kind of determined. Yeah, her real name's Cookie, but we call her Petunia. She's funny.
Okay, so these animals, are you part of the 5 a.m. club?
Yeah, I get to. MAC downtown at 4:50 every morning. They unlock the elevators. So I wake up at like 3:50.
What the hell, kid?
That's when I get up, go for the walk.
Every day.
Yeah.
And because
around Christmas, I took a couple weeks off. When Courtney was on Christmas break, I slept in with her, and that was actually really nice.
she's a teacher.
Yeah.
Where at?
Lindbergh High School.
Oh, right on. Good for her.
Yeah.
Does this stem from 75 Hard?
Yeah, that was kind of the start of it all.
When was that? A year or two ago? 2 years ago?
I first started it in 2021.
Here's our cat. This is Tito.
Yeah, Tito's the best.
All right, Boston Boo.
So, yeah, I've been doing it for like 4 years. And now it's just kind of become my permanent routine, basically. Like, I'll take breaks from it, but I'm mostly on it.
You did 75 Hard back in 2021, 2022?
Yeah. Yeah, I did like the whole live hard thing, like, because there's different phases of it.
You did all 3 phases, I think.
Yeah. And then...
Because, like, phase 2 is like 100 days or something like that?
Yeah, 75, 30, and then another 30.
Okay, yeah.
And it, like, accelerates the stuff you got to do.
Such as?
Like, I think there's, like, visualization. Cold shower was one of them. Now I, like, love cold showers.
I do, too.
Trying to think of some of the other stuff, like, from the final phase. It was, like, conversation with a stranger every day was a really cool one.
Oh, wow. That's probably difficult.
Yeah.
Let alone doing it, but finding someone to
when you have to force yourself every day to do that, it is hard, but it's a nice practice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So there's all, like, and it's just the discipline thing. I was not a disciplined guy, and it's, like, I'm actually doing a round of 75 Hard right now, like a true round of it. I'm usually doing basically it, but now I'm doing a true round, and you feel good when you're on it.
Is this true round right now, will this be your second time doing it?
That'll be like my 5th.
Holy shit, dude.
I do it every year.
Oh my God, really? Same time every year?
Yeah, I try to start the year with it.
So what are you on day 30 something right now?
Yeah, like 35 or something.
You started on the 1st?
Second.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Holy hell. I remember you doing it, and the stories of the cat and dog, I assumed that was the case.
Yeah, so I get up regardless if I'm
Why
on
so early, dude? How 3:50?
You know, it's a good time to get up, and but nobody contacts me before 8 a.m.
Yeah.
And by the time they do, I feel amazing. So it's like kind of like that emotional regulation thing where it's like I feel like I'm ready to take on whatever happens, and to get the morning out of the way, get all my stuff taken care of before anybody can really reach me, I think is very beneficial. And now it's just become, part of my process, and it's a cure for insomnia. I fall asleep in 5 minutes, which is amazing. I used to have really bad insomnia. And I just like getting up early now.
Did this, when you first did 75 Hard back a couple years ago, was that like from the get-go, I'm getting up at 4 a.m. every day?
No.
When did that begin?
I don't even.
That's so impressive, man. That's amazing.
Know.
Good for you.
Thanks.
That's wild.
Yeah, there's just different things. I don't even know what exactly introduced me to it. But
like, were you getting up at 6? Like, man, I could still do more. Then 5:30, I could still do more.
I think so. I heard about this one guy who wakes up at like 2:45. I'm like, that's a little insane. I'm not going to do that, but I'll do, an hour later. I thought 4 a.m. was good. 4 a.m. is really the goal.
You get up at 3:50. That's your alarm.
Yeah, 3:45 is the alarm. And I'm usually, in the past, I've been so good about popping out of bed, 3:45, no problem. But I'll tell you what, like, discipline begets more discipline.
Yeah.
And the same happens in the opposite direction. And taking off that basically month
December
and that holiday fucked me up. Like,
Really?
it's been a grind to get back to waking up so early.
That's good to hear. That means you're still human.
It is a grind. Like, it is a battle.
Especially when it's so fucking cold out, too, dude.
Yeah. Oh, it is. It hurts.
So you just out of bed and immediately take the dog out. Is that your go-to?
Yeah. I hop in the shower and then take him out. And there are some mornings where I'm in the shower, but my arm is on the thing, and I like just fall asleep in the shower because I'm tired.
Yeah.
But I just know that if I don't do it, I'll be pissed at myself, and then I'm a prick when I get to the gym, and it's like, just get up.
Yeah, exactly what you said. It's all compounding in there anyways.
Yeah.
What time do you go to bed then? 9?
Usually like 9:30, but sometimes on the weekends
Even on the weekends,
11.
you get up at 4 in the morning.
Yeah.
Holy hell, dude! I'm so impressed.
Thanks.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about that in the discipline because you've always been a fit guy, and yeah, you obviously take care of yourself, and I feel like that's I feel like if people want to, no matter what field they're in, if people want to be successful, I feel like that's step one.
Yeah, and I think it's discipline, because I was fit, like, in college, but, I mean, I was not disciplined.
Right.
I was, like,
It's easy to work out at 3:30.
Yeah, and I just couldn't afford food. Like, I remember I put on a ton of weight my freshman year, and then the only reason I figured out that it was possible for me to even lose weight, because, like, all high school and then into college, I had only, like, gained. And then I found out I could lose weight because I got my tonsils removed and I couldn't eat for like 2 weeks. It was the most painful thing to eat.
Probably dropped like 15 pounds.
20 pounds.
Yeah.
I was like, and at first I was like, man, I'm losing all this muscle. I was so pissed. And then, like, when it was all said and done, I was like, actually, the 20 pounds off me looks pretty good.
I might keep it like this.
Yeah, so then that was like my introduction, but I couldn't do it naturally. And then I did this 8-week program where, like, dialed in like my macronutrients. I realized how hungry I felt, and that was necessary to, like, lose weight. And I just had to, like, drink water. Like, I had never, and then you get adjusted to that volume of food consumption. But I didn't understand it. It took me forever to figure that part out. And then that was, like, kind of an intro to discipline. And then, yeah, the discipline's really good. But again, in college, I would work out a lot, but, I didn't have, like, money for food. I would spend it on beer. So then I would just not eat. I would have, like, a Powerade and almonds and peanut butter. There was, like, a year where I got really ripped, but I was not in a good headspace.
You're just in a deficit.
I was just eating, pre-workout for lunch, and then not going to class, going to the gym for 3 hours, and it's just naturally going to happen like that.
It's fucked up because that's what some people do intentionally too.
Yeah, right.
I only got you for another half an hour. I want to get into dialed.
Yeah.
I want to give you kudos to your social media game.
Thank you.
with being a realtor. That's impressive. I know it's tough to put yourself out there like that.
Thank you.
Talk to me about dialed. I dialed in, but also dialed. I put that. Was that intentional?
No, it's just dialed in.
I thought I had the idea the other day. I was like, oh, that's funny. Dial the phone all day.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that.
So
you always wanted a podcast? You always thought about doing one?
Yeah, I always wanted a podcast, I think. Like, I remember in college there was a point where I ordered the podcast equipment and it, like, didn't come in. And then I got refunded because it didn't come in, and instead of reordering it, it was, like, Thursday.
Oh, God.
So I got this $80 back.
Yeah,
like, shit, I'm going out.
Dude,
yeah,
that's so funny.
So I always wanted to do one, though. Couldn't figure out, like, a good route to do it. I started, like, and like, I like this discipline stuff. It's all, like, I really feel like the content and stuff that I consumed during my first round of 75 Hard, it's, like, life-changing for me.
The stuff that you did consume?
Yeah, like the content and stuff that I consumed, the books I read, like, that like personal development space, it was really life-changing for me. And And then you consume so much that you kind of want to start giving some of it back.
Yeah.
So that was really, like, I wanted to go in that direction, but my most natural start, I'm like, what can I even talk about? Like, well, I've been, like, real estate is something I'm passionate about, and I actually, you know, I've got licenses, I've got some degree of credibility, so it's a good place to start. But I do want to start, you know, continue trending in the direction of not just real estate, but also just, you know, personal development, realizing your goals and dreams and like what that takes. Real estate investment and stuff and business is just such a digestible and cool way to look at it.
Yeah. I agree.
Like Keith Barquette, that second guy I had on the podcast, that he's like 82.
Yeah.
Owns
Post office guy.
400 post offices. Yeah. And it's so crazy. Like he talks to me. He's like, he brings up how he's not that smart. He brings that up a lot. Like, he's like, I didn't go to college. I was kind of slow. Like, not that, you know, and he found a way. His ability to execute is what it came down to.
It's probably such a cool thing to actually be able to sit down and talk to a guy like that.
It's so cool. And so being able to, like, tease out those stories is cool. And I feel like it helps to ask good questions just from, you know, the stuff I've consumed, the books I've read. It's hard, though. I'm getting better at it. It's hard not to just say, yeah, when people are talking.
That's what I actively have to do that. Because I'll re-listen to, like, my first episodes. Like, the whole time I'm saying, yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah, for sure. It's like, Jack, shut the fuck up, dude.
Exactly.
Just let them talk.
Exactly. I know. I've run into that. Because in the conversation, it's natural to say yeah. But when you're in the mic, nobody wants to hear that.
Yeah. I'm literally fighting it right now, dude. I'm glad you also feel that, because like there's like you can complain to people about struggles like that of like it being a podcast, but like people are like, shut up, like, no, well, what are you talking about? Like, just stop talking. It's like, it's not that easy.
Yeah,
it's not that easy
because it's so natural. You want to like affirm that you're listening and all this stuff. So yeah. That's been my biggest challenge.
Yeah, I get it. I was curious about that. What your thoughts were, like, I don't want to say goal or strategy, but maybe like the path between like your personal interests and like being a real estate guy and just like having the conversations. And if you had thoughts on wanting it to go one way or the other, or if that's just like, does that question make sense?
Yeah. So I always want it to be like there's real estate is almost probably always going to be some topic of discussion, but it doesn't necessarily need to be. Yeah. And naturally, real estate developers, investors, agents are going to be, and just service providers are going to be people who I'm interested in talking to. So a lot of those people are going to make their way on the podcast. But I do want to expand that to more of like a mindset of success and skill set of success. Because I think there are some things that I didn't understand when I was younger, that I wish I had understood. Like from my conversation with Matt Vierling, the concept of being able to take a step back and not put pressure on yourself and commit to a longer term goal, so that you don't feel like if you failed today, or if you failed this month, or if you failed this season, that you should quit. That's a nice thing that I feel like I didn't understand that as much as a kid. I just wanted to be naturally good at things. And then at the first sign of adversity, or, you know,
it's not for me, I don't need to do this.
Yeah, exactly.
The season too, literally a baseball season, but it's like a season of life.
Yeah. He was talking about, like, he played in this Cape Cod league. He was like, I was the worst batter in the entire league. It's funny.
I talked to him, God, it was a couple years ago. He's still in the Phillies when I talked to him, when he was on the podcast. That was probably 2020. It's on here somewhere. I don't know where his signature's at. It's so crazy how well that kid's doing. I can't wait to listen to that.
Yeah.
He's such a good kid.
Yeah.
I want to. What was the post office guy's name?
Keith Barquette.
I want to applaud you for having, because I listened to the first 4 or 5. The one that I think I just finished it. He was wearing his first 3 real estate deals. He lost a shitload of money.
Bo Reinberg.
Yeah, storage box guy. Yeah, I just got done with that one. I want to applaud you for having guys on there like that, because that's like what I want to. That's who. Going back to the having real estate people on, it's easy to have those guys on and have that. It's nice to have that as a basis, because those guys at that level of like being such a high achiever, having like call it a high success rate, like it's not just real estate that's doing that. Like they have every facet of their life they have to be disciplined and like corrected.
Yeah.
To be at that level, and like I would like to get on, have that kind of people on, because I've only had like my friends on.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if I've had anyone on over 30.
Yeah.
Like, how do you put yourself into that mindset in those shoes of, because like me talking to you is different than me talking to someone's dad. And like, how do you approach that kind of conversation situation without like, because I don't want to interrupt you. Like, it's easy to have like a bro conversation.
Right.
But you really got to put yourself in almost like a professional mindset.
I'm in those situations a lot. Like Keith is actually, so he's 4:50 with me every morning.
No way at the
So,
MAC.
yeah,
no
so
way.
he's waiting for me. He gets there at like 4:30. That's his routine. So
Really?
he's there with me every morning. We wait for the elevators to get it like unlock for us to go up. There's a couple other guys there. So that's how he's become a friend of mine.
No way.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
So like
again, the discipline thing, dude, leads to success for guys like that.
You put yourself in those positions and then you become one of them, I guess. If you're around them enough and you learn from them. Certainly not one of them yet.
Trying to
10
be.
more years.
Yeah,
20 more years. It's the infinite game.
How do you, with like the inception of Dialed, did you have, like, is it guys like that, meeting guys like that drove, like, I got to start this, or what?
Yeah, I think so. There's other people who come to mind that I really want to have on that were also the reasons for starting it. Like I have exposure to a lot of professional athletes actually.
Chunks, yeah.
Yeah, and grew up playing hockey with a few others. And then like even work with some professional athletes now and yeah, I think a lot, like I've got some really interesting clients and interesting people who I just talk, and I love just talking to people and asking questions.
Just genuine curiosity.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was a culmination of things that kind of spiked it. And then I was, I heard there was a studio.
Yeah, the studio's at the MAC too, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's sweet.
So, yeah, it was a great setup.
What did you have to provide?
Nothing.
Whoa.
Money. I pay for it. Yeah.
$100 a session or some shit like that.
Yeah.
That's a good deal, dude.
It's great. Yeah. So I was once I launched it 2 weeks after finding out there was a studio.
Damn, good for you.
Yeah. I had already had a list of people I'd want to interview someday. So I just reached out to some of them.
What's that list at? Numbers wise?
I've probably got 60 or so on there right now.
That's good.
And it's always like that was just me sitting down one day kind of putting that list. There's a lot of people who I can't recall right now that I remember at the time wishing I'd had a podcast. Developers especially. And people like I'm really interested in blockchain and crypto.
Yeah.
And I've built some cool contacts in that space. So there's a lot in that arena that I want to get involved too.
That's what one of my pledge brothers, Drew Rogers, he's I think he's like the founder. I see all his stuff on LinkedIn. Don't quote me. I think he's the founder, but he's all in on blockchain and crypto, and it has something to do with stable coins.
Yep.
And I really want to get him. There's a lot of things I want to talk to him about, but that's his most recent venture, and I really want to pick his brain on that because it's so over my head, but I'm so interested in it. I wanted to hear it from someone like that.
Yeah.
To actually like get some bearings on it.
Yeah, that would be cool. I'm a crypto certified realtor.
No way.
Yeah, this platform Proppy is kind of like a Zillow, but you can, it's like a marketplace, and so I like got, certified through them. So, and I've built. So if you look back on my YouTube channel, I've got interviews from early on, before I had a podcast studio or anything. One of them was with this the first buyer of an NFT condo in the United States.
No way.
Yeah, so she bought the condo as an NFT in an auction sale. So she bought the NFT, which was an LLC that held the rights of the real estate. So that was the transaction vehicle, was the NFT, and so she took ownership instantly. So like that title process, it was basically instant settlement.
Whoa.
Yeah, and so
that's how she bought the condo. Wow.
Yeah, and that was through Proppy. So I interviewed her. I interviewed this guy, Chip Ridge, who's out of Kentucky. He does title, and he's done like some Bitcoin, like wallet-to-wallet transactions for real estate as well.
Wow.
Yeah, so I've got some pretty cool contacts in that
I
space.
bet.
I had Adam Brown, who was actually the president of Proppy at the time. They're a pretty big company too.
I never heard of this. I'm gonna pull it up real quick so I can do a little PROPPY.
Just one PROPY.
Real estate. AI assisted title and escrow on chain for real estate. There you go.
Yeah.
Reduces human work by 40%. Deeds are recorded on chain to avoid fraud. Wow. That's crazy. And yeah, dude, that's what because I've always heard shit about the ease that the blockchain would provide.
Yeah.
In real estate. But I've never actually heard an actual example. That's incredible.
Yeah. There's a couple people I've been meeting with recently, actually, more in the development space, because the tokenization, like on the syndication and that kind of thing, because real estate is such an illiquid asset. Mm-hmm. So tokenizing the real estate, then you can almost trade it like a stock, and it opens up liquidity drastically.
I see.
And you can trade, say, if the Empire State Building was tokenized,
right,
you could trade shares of that like a stock, which normally you just can't do that.
Wow, I never thought about it that way either.
Yeah.
Huh.
So a lot of the private equity stuff.
Yeah.
That's where I see tokenization having the biggest impact.
On big assets. $100 million, $1 billion buildings.
That normally takes so much
capital
and just so much friction
to
enter and exit that asset. Your capital's tied up. Say you're on a development project that's got a 7-year time horizon and you need your money back in 3 to go back through that general partner to sell your equity back to him. You're going to take a loss. It's going to be, and it's just a process. So if you can actually tokenize that, it'll have a 2-year lockup period, if you're on the initial seed round, but to be able to trade out of that, it's going to change the industry quite a bit.
This is fascinating. We're going to have to do a second episode.
Yeah, it's cool.
Man. Okay, I want to hear about your process with Dialed, from having someone on, recording, editing, exporting, and how you see the strategy behind the posting of it all. Because I saw the clip today of Veerling.
Yeah.
Do you do all of that?
Yeah.
Do you have I'm gonna post this 2 days after the episode, a day before the episode? I've got 6 of these on deck. What are your thoughts on all that?
I just post the episode on Tuesdays at 4 p.m. is when I aim for my post schedule. I don't know why. I guess that's just when I was posting the first one, so I
stuck with it. Yeah, sure.
And then I like to get a few reels ready. I have a LinkedIn post timed for once I finish the clip, I time it for 4 p.m. Sometimes I'll do a little teaser that's a banner picture, podcast coming later today. And then I'll do a post on Facebook or something, and then I'll do a reel to Instagram that night, the next day. And then I've got some more reels kind of in the vault for whenever. Sometimes I don't love them. I decide not to post them. But I've got a ton of them for all the episodes. And actually, I just started a new Instagram page today, like a couple hours ago, called Dialed, so that I can actually put a lot more content up there, because I don't, like, that was my problem with, like, my real estate page. It's like a lot of people are following me for, like, the home buying, that kind of stuff. They don't need to get pumped with, motivational bits with, like, sound behind.
Yeah. I got you.
So, like, I'll post one to there, but now on this Dialed page, I plan on putting up, maybe 10 reels per video. So, like, and you can kind of slow drip them out. So I'm excited about that.
Good. That's what I'm working on right now, is how I want to go about, because, like, it's a business, like, you have the product, but then you also have to do the marketing. Yeah. And I don't know dick about the marketing. Yeah. And so, like, I'm trying to plan out, like, I've got 2 on deck right now. I've got 2 that I haven't posted. Yeah. One's with my buddy Sam and one's with my buddy Dylan. The one with Sam's actually over a month old now. I haven't gotten around to it because I'm trying to play with how the posting strategy, if you will. Yeah. And that, like, sourcing clips from the video to then post before I post the podcast to, like, drive interest, if you will. Yeah. But that means I'm going back and listening to it before I post it. And then I have to go back and sort through it all to make the clips to then post the schedule. Yeah. But I don't want to have, 3 clips to post before the thing goes out to then delay it by 2 weeks. Like, that's kind of what I'm playing with right now. And I don't know the best way to do it.
That's that's like those intros that I do to my podcast, where it's like a minute and a half little cinematic intro. Takes me like 6 hours. Because I'm watching the whole thing, taking notes, and then I'm trimming up these little things. Yeah. And then doing the transition from clip to clip is completely effed. Because you clip it down, and then you put, like, say fade. And then it adds, like, a half second to the clip. So then it's like you just hear me saying yeah or some bullshit. And it fucks up the whole thing. So you got to restart and try to trim it.
Because you're looking at like tenths of a second and shit like that. Yeah. It's so funny of the same struggles that I do.
Yeah, it's such a grind.
Because it's easy, it's simple, but it's not easy. Yeah. It's so time consuming. Yeah. It's so fucking time consuming. Yeah. You do it all yourself. So do I. Yeah. Do you use it? What do you use? Premiere?
No, I use WeVideo. It was an automatic attachment to Dropbox.
Oh, that's nice.
So there should be, like, I know there's better shit out there, but right now I'm just using just this.
Whatever you got,
I am just like, just get it up, the information. It doesn't need to be perfect. We'll just keep getting better. There's actually some good AI tools you should look at.
I have one. I pay for one right now. It's called Opus.
Yep, that's what I use.
Where it adds
the words.
Yeah, I do use that.
That's a lifesaver. Yeah. The first time I did those on my own, the words, it took me so long.
I didn't even export it, dude. Yeah. I got like halfway through. I was like, I'm not fucking doing this, man. Yeah. It took so long. Yeah. And that's when I did all this. This was almost 4 years ago now when I bought all this stuff. There's a handful of things I would have done differently. I didn't need some of it. I wish I would have done other things. It's like all my shit, like, I don't use Dropbox. I have a 1 terabyte hard drive upstairs that everything's on. Yeah. And I wish I would have done something like that. I wish I had a different computer. I don't wish. I'm grateful for everything I have. But this thing's my computer from college. And whenever I do editing stuff on it, dude, it sounds like a fucking helicopter. It's so loud.
Mine does the same thing. I mean, that's the thing. Like, you just, like, okay, you just work with what you got.
Exactly.
For now, and that's the infinite game. As long as, like, that's what's cool is you got a couple on deck. You got me recording right now. It's like, as long as you don't quit, more resources will come your way.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great way of putting it. Yeah. Which I'd like to. Do you have you don't have to say your goals, but are you trying to do 30 of them this year, 20 of them this year, 50 of them this year? Are you trying to do one a week? Sorry, that's what I meant to ask.
One every couple weeks is kind of my goal.
Okay.
Which one every couple weeks is very manageable on your own.
I agree.
And that was a good
When it's schedule. A solo shop, it's,
And And then you have reels and clips that you can post from that. Most people, there's going to be a handful that really listen to the whole thing. But the reels are actually beneficial too. I think if you can get a good soundbite, like there's one I posted of Matt today to the actual dialed page. And it's like him talking about this, Nick Castellanos quote.
Mm-hmm. The dude that always hits homers at inconvenient times.
Yeah. And talking about he was in like a hitting slump and said a quote like every storm only has so much rain. And like posting him talking about that. There's like little things where I like, because that's how a lot of people consume content.
Yeah.
I'll post on YouTube Shorts too.
That's how I find a lot of episodes to go and listens to.
Yeah, exactly. So then, yeah, and I feel like 2 weeks is enough time where, like, okay, you've exhausted this one, now post your next one. Yeah.
Awesome. I love this, man. We're already at 5:30. I don't want to. Do you have to get out of here like right now?
Oh yeah, I better get going.
One last question. What podcast do you listen to? What are your favorites? Or who are your favorite guys?
There's a lot of good ones. I'm trying to think of who I've been listening to recently. I've been listening to a ton of like crypto stuff recently. But
Man, you really like that stuff.
Yeah, Tom Bilyeu was a big one for me early on.
I like him.
Like Ed Milet was an original one. It's interesting.
He's a little too much for me sometimes.
Yeah, he became too much for me. But early on, he was good. Along that same line, who's too much, but every once in a while he's got a good clip here and there, is Bedros Keuilian.
Yep, yeah, I like him.
There's a podcast interview of him 5 years ago where he's interviewing a guy named Wes Watson.
Okay.
Wes Watson went to prison for like 10 years and just kind of nuts. And if you go to his Instagram page, it's going to make me look bad for referencing him because he looks like such a douche on Instagram. But if you listen to this interview, it's this one. It's such a cool interview.
Really? I'll have to check that out.
Because at that point, he's like so humble. He's like fresh out. He's just like dialing in his business. It's a very cool interview. He's so focused on purpose and intention and just work for self-improve, like working to work, basically. That was one where I was listening to that interview. I was out for like a walk in that neighborhood in Wildwood and ended up just lunging for like an hour and a half.
Holy
down
shit,
that hill
dude.
and back up the hill.
Oh my God.
Like it just fired me up.
Wow.
And
from whatever Wes was saying?
Whatever Wes was saying.
Wow,
so I'll go back and listen to it every once in a while. He's actually the guy who got up at 2:45.
I'm going to add this to my watch list later.
And he's good.
Like tats and everything. He looks like he's in prison.
Yeah, he's nuts. But he's good. If you listen to him, the Instagram is where you're gonna think he looks like freaking that Tate. He looks like Tate on Instagram, but you got to go to the interviews.
Andrew Tate.
Yeah. He looks like him on Instagram, but if you go to the interviews, he's really saying some good substantial stuff.
I'll have to check that out.
Trying to think who else. Ryan Holiday's good. Daily
Stoic, yeah. I like him. I'm reading Meditations right now.
Are you? Mm-hmm. That's cool. That's something I still want to read. I haven't yet.
I just started. I'm 30 pages into it.
I'm reading The Obstacle Is the Way.
Nice.
It was recommended by one of my podcast guests. And I know there's some great ones that I'm forgetting. But yeah, those are some good ones.
It's so funny because people always talk about like, you know, if you want to get into like starting a business, it's like always what the saturation is. And like you think you've heard of every podcast and like everything you just said. Like I'm sure you listen to 10 people that I've never heard of. And I'm sure I'm sure hundreds of thousands of people listen to them.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm sure I listen to the same thing with me. I'm sure I listen to something you've never heard of, but they're beyond popular.
Yeah.
It's so crazy.
Yeah, like Lewis Howes and Jay Shetty were some good ones.
Jay Shetty's a good one, yeah.
Who do you like?
Right. I listen to a lot of Alex Hormozy right now.
He's great.
He's good.
I love him too.
It's like a grain of salt because he's such a hard ass.
Yeah, exactly.
Like he like doesn't believe in like vacation. Like I was listening to one the other day where he was like, I just went on vacation. And I was like, it's not for me. I'm like, that's fucked up.
Yeah.
I like the beach.
That's like Wes.
Yeah.
That's how Wes is. But he will compel you to do shit.
Yeah.
Where like you'll listen to it, and some days you're like, I don't have time for this. But some days you're like, I don't even think, and I just unplug the headphones and I'm out running
Really
miles. Yeah.
I like him a lot. He's good. I like him because he's got like just a stack of undeniable proof. Like,
Yep.
You know that what he's saying is true.
Yeah.
Chris Williamson.
Yes. Is he the guy from Love Island?
yeah.
Yeah, Modern Wisdom.
Yeah, Modern Wisdom.
I've been listening to a ton of him lately.
I love his. I probably no. I don't even know when I first both of those two. I couldn't tell you when I first stumbled upon them. It could have been in the past 6 months, 12 months. I don't remember.
Yeah.
I bet between those two, I've listened to 300 episodes
Yeah.
since finding them. I've just been ripping them.
It's funny you said that because I've been listening to both of those guys a lot too. They must be on a big content spot.
Hormozius for sure. Williamson in the past year he's blown up because I remember when he just did like lessons from 3 million subscribers or something.
Yeah.
And I remember listening to him when he did like I just hit 700,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
But like that wasn't even that long ago.
Yeah.
Like he's on this like crazy uptick right now. I used to listen to Andy Frisell a lot when he
MFCEO
yes,
was good.
yeah, but then he switched to like the news.
CTI?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's too out there
Yeah.
sometimes. Like sometimes I'm listening to him, I'm like, I can tell what you're saying, but to the people who listen to you, some of the demographic who listens to you, they're gonna radicalize what you're saying to too much of an extent. So it drives me a little crazy where I'm like, dude, I get what you're saying because you have more of an even keel here, I think, like because you're a pretty smart guy, but you got to know like some of your audience is gonna run with this a little too hard.
And he flipped it from like, yeah, dude, yeah, because he wears the tinfoil hat.
With
like,
that conspiracy stuff,
yeah.
like some of his followers are gonna go a little too crazy. And they're definitely like storming.
Yeah, dude. And they're drinking the Kool-Aid, bro. They're all fucking in.
Yeah.
Anyways, I don't want to keep you too long. It's 5:30. You gotta get out of here.
And yeah, just because I said something negative about him, I do want to say that the 75 hard thing he did, I think was a great gift that he provided.
Yeah, no, his values can't be overstated.
Yeah.
Thank you, man. Thanks for your time. We're gonna have to do another episode. Where can people find you?
Instagram, Tommy Espenschied, YouTube, or Tesby if you want to see my personal stuff. Now I got the dialed account, and then yeah, that's it.
Awesome, man. Thank you.
Yep.
Appreciate you.
Absolutely.
Dialed, everyone. Check it out. Adios.